I thought I'd begin today with a nice story about Prince Harry and Meghan in Australia. On day one in Australia, the optics were plain. They arrived in Melbourne's Royal Children's Hospital and were greeted by large, warm crowds. Staff, parents, family, well-wishers lined the walkways, and even hostile coverage conceded the size of the reception and the positive atmosphere on the ground. Reuters described a petition against policing costs and a mixed public debate, yet the same reporting still recorded their hospital visit and the attention they drew. The Guardian likewise noted their warm reception at the hospital, even while stressing the commercial side of the trip. The Telegraph, from a paper seldom accused of softness towards the Sussexes, said the crowd was as big as the reporter had seen on such an engagement and judged the first day's public reception overwhelmingly positive. That matters because monarchy is not merely a constitution in costume. Monarchy is theatre. It is presence, poise, mood, symbolism, and the strange ability to make strangers gather in the rain for a glimpse of a family that they do not know. And on that test, Harry and Meghan still possess something potent. They have what public life craves and institutions rarely manufacture at will: recognisability, emotional pull, and crowd energy. Those are not trivial things. Those are the currency of royal relevance. But Australia suggests a harsher truth for the institution they left behind. The Sussexes still know how to do the job, or at least the visible part of the job. Harry looked at ease with veterans and mental health campaigners. Meghan moved easily through hospital wards and a women's shelter. Their programme, children's health, veterans, domestic violence support, mental health, community well-being, was tightly aligned with the causes they have long tried to make their own. Even critics who disliked the commercial packaging still had to admit the subjects chosen were familiar, focused, and highly legible to the public, and that is where the loss to the royal family, I think, becomes visible. The monarchy didn't part company with two dull, dutiful non-entities. They parted company with two people who generate attention at scale, especially when placed in emotionally charged settings. Harry still carries the mix of military background, vulnerability, mischief, and approachability that makes him effective in veteran and mental health spaces. Meghan still carries glamour, camera sense, and a manner of directness with members of the public that produces strong images. One need not romanticize them to see this. One need only look at the photographs and the reception. This is not the prince and the showgirl. This is reality. The deeper irony is this: the critics accuse them of trading on royal aura. Yet the very fact that the aura still works tells us something important. The institution did not extinguish their public magnetism, it exported it. In effect, the royal family helped create a globally marketable pair, then lost control of the product. So now, whenever Harry and Meghan step into a hospital, a veterans venue, or a public welfare setting overseas, they receive and they revive a question Buckingham Palace would rather avoid. What would this have looked like if the rupture had never happened? What goodwill, what reach, what generational renewal was thrown away? The Telegraph framed the tour in precisely those terms, arguing that whatever palace insiders say in private, they will be watching closely because the pair still look like an asset that was lost. When hostile voices ask, who even wants this visit? The answer is visible in the crowd barriers. Plenty of people do. If a couple described as washed up, polarising, commercially compromised, and institutionally marginal still pull this level of attention in Australia, then the monarchy's problem is not Harry and Meghan's irrelevance. The monarchy's problem is that they are not irrelevant enough. They remain vivid proof that the House of Windsor failed to hold together one of its few genuinely global, cross-market, younger, emotionally legible pairings. Harry and Meghan remain a star attraction. They still draw, they still produce the sort of public scenes upon which royal mystique has always depended. The British press may wring its hands over what they have become, and palace loyalists may insist the institution is better off without them, But the pictures from Australia suggest another verdict. The royal family did not shed dead weight. It pushed aside two of the most camera-ready, emotionally marketable, internationally resonant figures, and the world still notices when they walk into a room. In the end, that must be the real sting. Not that Harry and Meghan have left, not even that they complain. It is that outside the palace gates, before hospital patients, veterans, families, shelter residents, and waiting crowds, they still look like what the monarchy claims to embody: public interest, human contact, symbolic sparkle, and for an institution built on image. That is not a minor embarrassment, it is the whole argument.
If your monarchy looks like a talent agency that can't keep its A-list clients, you might be facing a crisis of identity. The House of Windsor, once the epitome of regal stability and tradition, now finds itself grappling with the challenges of a rapidly changing world. The parallels between the royal family and a high-profile talent agency are striking. Both are tasked with managing public personas, navigating scandals, and ensuring their stars remain in the spotlight for all the right reasons. But what happens when those stars begin to outshine the institution itself? What happens when the very people meant to uphold the monarchy's image start to redefine it in ways the establishment can't control? You're a House of Windsor in crisis. The imposing walls of Windsor Castle, once symbols of unshakable power, now seem to echo with uncertainty. Headlines scream of royal rifts, family feuds, and a monarchy struggling to find its place in the 21st century. The world watches as the royal family navigates these turbulent waters, wondering if the institution can weather the storm, or if it will be swept away by the tides of change. The crisis isn't just about individuals, it's about the very future of the monarchy itself. Harry and Meghan's Australian tour? It was more than just a series of public appearances. It was a pivotal moment, a test of the monarchy's ability to adapt and connect with a new generation. The Sussexes arrived down under to a hero's welcome, greeted by throngs of adoring fans waving both British and Australian flags. The energy was electric, the anticipation palpable. For many, this was the royal family at its best, accessible, relatable, and genuinely engaged with the people. But behind the scenes, all was not well. The Australian tour, in many ways, was the screen test for a new era, and the producers flubbed it. Event staff scrambled to keep up with the Sussexes' dynamic approach, often appearing confused or unprepared for the couple's spontaneous interactions with the public. Opportunities to showcase a modern, forward-thinking monarchy were missed as old protocols clashed with new expectations. The result was a sense of dissonance, a feeling that the institution was out of step with the very people it sought to inspire. Professor Tim Wilson doesn't waste time with tabloid fluff. As an academic and commentator on constitutional affairs, Wilson brings a critical eye to the spectacle of royalty. He sees beyond the headlines and the gossip, focusing instead on the deeper issues at play. For Wilson, the Australian tour was a case study in institutional inertia. A moment when the monarchy had a chance to reinvent itself but failed to seize the opportunity. According to Wilson, the Sussexes' 2018 trip down under was the monarchy's golden ticket, a shot at proving it could adapt, connect and thrive in the global spotlight. The tour was a masterclass in modern royal engagement. Harry and Meghan broke down barriers, embraced local culture, and connected with people on a deeply personal level. The press coverage was overwhelmingly positive, painting the couple as the fresh, relatable faces the monarchy desperately needed. Instead, the palace clung to old scripts, while Harry and Meghan delivered emotional authenticity, crowd-pleasing warmth, and global relatability, all things the institution desperately needed but couldn't quite handle. The contrast was stark. On one side, a couple willing to break with tradition in order to connect. On the other, an institution bound by protocol and wary of change. The tension between these two approaches was palpable, and it played out in real time for the world to see. Wilson calls it a masterclass in self-sabotage, a royal family so wedded to its rigid traditions, it let its millennial stars slip away. The missed connections were not just symbolic. They were real, tangible moments when the monarchy could have shown its willingness to evolve, but instead chose to retreat into the safety of the familiar. The result was a growing sense of alienation, both within the family and among the public. The result? A missed opportunity that turned a moment of modern magic into a cautionary tale about how even ancient empires can fumble their own future. The empty stage, the disappointed crowd, the fading spotlight, all serve as reminders of what could have been. The Windsor paradox is clear. In trying to preserve the past, the monarchy may have jeopardized its future. To understand the significance of Harry and Meghan's Australian tour, it's important to look back at the history of royal visits. Queen Elizabeth II's early tours were monumental events, drawing massive crowds and generating a sense of unity across the Commonwealth. These tours were carefully choreographed, designed to reinforce the monarchy's image as a unifying force. The young royals of the 20th century were symbols of hope and continuity, embodying the values of their time. Over the decades, the royal family has evolved, adapting to changing social norms and public expectations. Fashion changed, attitudes shifted, and the monarchy found new ways to remain relevant. But with each new generation, the challenge of balancing tradition and modernity became more pronounced. The world moved faster, and the demands on the royals grew more complex. In the age of social media, the stakes are higher than ever. Every gesture, every word, every interaction is scrutinized, dissected, and debated online. Harry and Meghan understood this intuitively, leveraging their global platform to connect with audiences in ways previous generations could not. Their ability to go viral, to spark conversations and inspire change, set them apart from the rest of the royal family. But with increased visibility came increased scrutiny. The press, always hungry for a royal story, pounced on every misstep, every hint of discord. Tabloid headlines painted a picture of chaos and dysfunction, fueling public fascination and concern. The pressure on Harry and Meghan was immense, and the palace's response was often seen as tone-deaf or inadequate. The Australian tour was a turning point, a moment when the monarchy could have embraced change and demonstrated its relevance to a new generation. Instead, it became a flashpoint for controversy, highlighting the deep divisions within the royal family and the institution's struggle to adapt. Experts like Professor Wilson argue that this was a critical juncture, one that will be studied for years to come. Public opinion in Australia was divided. Some saw the Sussexes as a breath of fresh air, a sign that the monarchy could evolve and remain relevant. Others viewed the tour as a distraction from more pressing issues, questioning the role of the royals in a modern democracy. The debates were passionate, reflecting broader questions about identity, tradition, and the future of the Commonwealth. In classrooms and universities, the tour sparked discussions about the nature of monarchy itself. Students debated the merits of tradition versus progress, the responsibilities of public figures, and the impact of celebrity culture on institutions. For many, Harry and Meghan represented a new kind of royalty, one that was accessible, empathetic, and willing to challenge the status quo. The Sussexes' commitment to charity and social causes resonated with younger audiences. Their willingness to speak out on issues like mental health, racial equality, and environmental sustainability set them apart from the more reserved approach of other royals. Positive headlines celebrated their impact, while critics questioned whether the monarchy was ready to embrace such activism. The contrast in styles was impossible to ignore. While the rest of the royal family adhered to tradition, Harry and Meghan brought a sense of informality and openness to their engagements. Their ability to connect with people on a personal level was both their greatest strength and the source of much of the tension within the institution. The global impact of the Australian tour was undeniable. News outlets around the world covered the Sussexes' every move, and social media buzzed with excitement. The tour became a cultural phenomenon, sparking conversations about the role of monarchy in a globalized world. For a brief moment, it seemed as though the royal family had found a way to bridge the gap between tradition and modernity. But inside the palace, the mood was far less optimistic. Internal meetings were tense as staff struggled to manage the competing demands of tradition and innovation. Confidential documents revealed a deep-seated reluctance to embrace change, with senior advisors warning against deviating from established protocols. The fear of losing control was palpable, and it shaped every decision the institution made. Family discussions were fraught with tension. Body language experts analysed every gesture, searching for signs of discord. The world watched as the royal family tried to present a united front, even as cracks began to show. The pressure to maintain the facade of unity was immense, and it took a toll on everyone involved. Ultimately, the inability to reconcile these differences led to Harry and Meghan's decision to step back from royal duties. Their departure was a seismic event, sending shockwaves through the institution and the public alike. Headlines proclaimed the end of an era, and questions about the future of the monarchy grew louder. The public reaction was mixed. Some celebrated the Sussexes' independence, seeing it as a necessary step toward modernization. Others mourned the loss of two of the monarchy's brightest stars, fearing that their absence would weaken the institution. Expert interviews offered a range of perspectives, but all agreed that the royal family faced an uncertain future. The Windsor paradox remains unresolved. The royal family stands at a crossroads, caught between the demands of tradition and the need for change. The world watches, waiting to see which path they will choose. Will they embrace the lessons of the past, or will they continue to repeat the same mistakes? As we reflect on Harry and Meghan's Australian tour, it's clear that the moment was about more than just royal pageantry. It was a test, a chance for the monarchy to prove its relevance in a changing world. The outcome serves as a cautionary tale, a reminder that even the most enduring institutions must evolve or risk fading into irrelevance. The story of the House of Windsor is still being written. Whether it will be a tale of renewal or decline remains to be seen. But one thing is certain: the world will be watching.